So we've done the Florence and Machine tour, the Air tour, which is the French guys with lots of keyboards, and that was very tasty. I went to that gig and it sounded absolutely splendid. It's a very big stereo number, nice, very lush with effects, and then your most recent outing for the last year or so it has been on Adele tour. So again, you've moved to. You chose your artist very well, I have to say, on that one there, Dave. I think congratulations. I think you couldn't probably get a more successful artist last year. And you took your iLive with you. Literally took it with you as well. So I remember you kind of set stuff up in rehearsals. Again, the front of house monitor split, and then off you went.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the bus with the iLive.
Literally on the bus with the iLive. And, you know, no fancy outboard or anything. No processing on the vocals. Just use what's in the box.
I bet the tour manager was very happy with you. And
oh, they love me.
Dave's coming into town with his couple of boxes and he's a Cat5 cable, and it's the Adele tour. That's fantastic.
The promoters love me as well. But yeah, it's you know, it's a musical desk. You know, that's the only way I can put it. Is if you want to make music and you want to do beautiful sounding things, it's fantastic on that. You know.
Well, it sounds like you really enjoy mixing on it.
Yes.
That's
well, I've just you saw my face today. I haven't seen it for my old desk for a while, and it's like
here in the room with us.
It's like my long lost son. You know, and I'm happy.
So even on the Adele tour, which was obviously sold out, massive all around the world, and incredible sort of TV appearances and everything, you were still just happy with the compressor and the standard stuff in the channel. There's no magic fairy dust or anything coming in from anywhere. Just get on with it.
If you've got a great signal coming in, this just enhances it.
Fantastic. And how did you find the iLive in terms of reliability? Because that was a world tour. I mean, you put it through its paces again. I mean, this is
well, you know. For reliability, I mean, if it was a car, I'd buy 5 of them. You know, it's so reliable. It's ridiculous. I mean, we had one shutdown, and I think that was because it was 110 outside. I don't know what that is in normal, but it was
old money.
Yeah, in old money or new money, it was ridiculous, and yeah, it was just sucking in air hotter outside than was inside, and it just shut down. Put some fans on it. Fired it back up, and fine again. And that's the only time I've ever, you know, had one of these desks shut down on me. I was going to say it's the only time I've had a desk shut down on me, which is not true. But it's the only time an iLive was shut down on me.
Brilliant. So you went around various different countries, flying the thing in, throwing it around.
It's you know, it's a shame it has been abused, lumped by humpers up and down steps.
I'm sure actually there's some of the reaction from the local cruisers being, wow, is that it? Is that all you're bringing in?
They find it hilarious, and they find it even funnier when I just put it up on the rack case. I don't have a stand for it. I just put it up on its case, wheel it into place. Yeah. And there's a lot of people looking at it for quite a while. It's like, is that it? You know?
Yeah, because even the size that you took, which was an iLive 112 modular surface, it isn't really a very big thing to carry around. No, really.
The only problem with it is because it is not that big a desk, is that the front house area has become smaller, which means the audience can kind of lean over and touch you, which just can be unpleasant sometimes.
So you do need to keep a big stick with you at the front of the house desk. Stick. Yeah, we've got a question here from Duncan Whitcomb, and Duncan's asking a couple of questions. How do you lay out your strip assignment? Is there any particular thing that you know, right hand, left hand, or keep things together, drums and effects? Or
I'm quite a traditionalist in that sense, where I work from left to right. It's always drums first, bass, normally guitars, normally keys, then we move on to vocals. So yeah, I tend to try and keep everything in the same order. So no matter who you're working with or how many years down the line, you always have a constant. You know, you want to try and keep these things as a constant.
So yeah, instead of worrying too much about scenes and internal stuff, you're looking at the stage, and if you see someone picking up an instrument on stage or heading towards the drums, your hands and you're
going
to a
your hands
places,
know where it is because you've always put that in that place for the last how many odd years.
And do you use the DCA groups to control bunches of things as well? You know, so they'll be on your right hand side.
The DCAs are always on my right.
Right.
You know, and the beginning of the desk, the number one on the desk is always kick drum.
And did you use that feature called freezing layers at all on the iLive, where you can keep one channel always the same in all the layers, or did you quite happily move through layers?
I'm quite happy to flick through layers.
Yeah.
What you tend to do is, especially if you're working for the same band for a while, is I call it patterns. You develop a pattern of movement or behavior. So you know at this certain point of the tune you are going to do this, and you do that. And after a few shows, you find that what is the best pattern for doing things. So I didn't have to freeze layers.
Very good. Okay, well, here's a nice traditional question. When and what made you decide to work as a front of house engineer? This is from Nicholas Vallejo.
I first started off as working for lighting for a theatre company, and found that the person who was teaching me, we didn't see eye to eye. I was a bit of a rowdy 17-year-old who thought he knew everything, and obviously the person who was trying to teach me was a lot older, and we didn't see eye to eye, and there was a sound department. So I left and joined the sound department, and that's how I started.
Okay. Another question here. Have you ever used a laptop or an iPad to control the iLive? And what do you think about using this kind of technologies in gigs? This is from Federico Pepe.
I've used both.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant tools. One of my favorites when I'm actually listening to the CD lining up, and I've got the GEQ, the graphic, to set up the PA, to be wandering around the building and sitting in certain seats and adjusting.
The balconies and all that stuff with sheet leather business.
Adjusting. Generally during the show, I'm stuck at front of house. I won't really wander about too far, just in case the worst happens, which hasn't. I can see the advantage of it in smaller clubs, and also great for monitor engineers on stage, walking up, listening to their cues, and being there to adjust everything. It has, it has its place, definitely. They're great tools, but the only time I really use it, like I said, is during lineup.
Yeah, it gives you the freedom to be able to walk away from the front of house position if you need to.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know there are people even touring with no desk whatsoever, just taking out a laptop or even an iPad once everything's set up, and they're also finding that way. So it's horses for courses really, but you're a console person, I would say.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. We have used a couple of PLs on the tour, on the Adele tour. I believe that the Miles Robertson, the MD, was given a PL device by the monitor chap, and I think that just gave him a bit of his own local control. I remember.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's a PL device is a small remote controller which plugs in on a Cat5 cable to the iLive system, and it can be handed to a musician or given to a technician, and they can set the parameters on that one. So I suppose, do you think that's kind of a useful thing to be able to give a bit of control here and there to different people if they need it under certain situations?
It's a fantastic tool, and I think to a degree it's the way ahead. It's the future. Well,
there's so much control. We all got control in our lives these days, in the car, in the house. Everyone's used to this kind of control.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why not?
For me, it's almost like the jump from wedges to in-ears. It's a thing that we're going to be seeing more and more, and it's going to become commonplace.
I believe so too.
To be able to just change that mix, instantly.
And I think, at the end of the day, you've got to remember that the artist generally is the one paying the money. It's the audience, pay to see them, and it's great that they've done that. The artist has provided the music and the performance. And they're the customer. If they want to be able to do something, it must be very frustrating for them sometimes to not have any control, or line of sight problems or communication problems.
Yeah.
Means that they frustrated for a song in a gig where it could have just been a question of leaning forward and making a small adjustment to hear a little bit more of something or less of something. And I know it's traditional for crew to say the last thing you want to do is give the musicians the control of the sound, but now they've got their own in-ears, and the technology has improved, and you can set the range on these things. For example, on that PL10, we can actually say how many dB cut or gain it can have in its range. Then you can limit, the amount, but give that person the right to adjust themselves a little bit. So
yeah, it's I think it's definitely a step forward. You really part of the problem is you're playing away that something's not quite right for you. It's niggling you, and you have to get the attention of the monitor engineer. And like you said, the line of sight might be bad, or the monitor engineer is doing something else. By the time you got his attention, that moment's gone. Whereas if you just had something, you can just lean up and adjust.
That's right. I remember popping out to visit you on one of these TV shows. I think it was Graham Norton, and the monitor engineers are behind a screen, invisible to the band. The band don't even see the monitor engineer anymore, and yet they're having to do the same kind of show as they would do on tour. So in that sort of situation, why not just say, look, guys, here's a little bit of extra control. I can't see you today. Press these buttons if you just want to turn something up and down. And you can roll it in and roll it out depending on the need. So the iLive allows you to do that. So it's something we've always believed, Anne and Heath, that you should be able to tailor-make these things, not necessarily dictate to how people should use them, but make the control available.
Give people the tools to do what they need to do.